So I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 9, Episode 6. These lips don't lie. First of all, if you're watching this, thank you. And if you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Do y'all know my birthday is on Tuesday, December 10th? Shout out and happy birthday to all my Sagittarius people, whether it just passed or whether it's coming up. Shout out to y'all. I just want to say this. I love doing this on Saturday nights with y'all. I really do. I had so much fun reviewing the show. So please be sure to, comment. Just keep it respectful. Anyway, can I address something before we get in to this bullshit episode? Please stop letting, and I'm talking to you on TV, please stop letting Tisha do the voiceovers for the previously on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Why? She shouldn't do public speaking. Okay? And I thought we understood that with the Black Espo. But apparently, y'all want to keep giving people chances that they have not earned and that y'all have not provided the professional development for. Anyway, all right. I just wanted to get that off my chest. All right, now, so they're back fighting at the park where people go for their back-to-school church barbecues and their family reunion cookouts, okay? Because that's what Destiny can afford. It was so much yelling for a second, I couldn't even realize what the fuck they were fighting over. Now, Martell said Tisha is nasty, and I saw her live. I said, excuse me? In reference to her doing something sexual, Marceau and Tisha were definitely on the same page as they dealt with Marceau's, what I believe, a narcissistic meltdown. And I think that was the best thing. Even if they have issues, you go home and duke it out, but y'all got to be on the same page in public. Then Destiny asked another question. Other than your significant other, who has shown up for you the most in this alleged friend group? Tisha was like, nobody. Nell was like, nobody. I was like, Nell, nobody should show up for you. But okay. Fletcher barely show up for you if we gonna keep it real. Anyway, Marceau said, well, mine is Martell. He has shown me the most. He showed me how not to tear up my marriage for a shareable side chick. I said, you better read. Because part of that reading is not just that she's a side chick. That's understood. But that Martell ain't the only man she was sleeping with and all this other stuff. And that's hard for a man like Martell who's insecure as fuck, who needs to believe that you're the only man that he's sleeping with. A point for you, Marceau. You get a few points throughout this. So Martell apparently asked Marceau at one point if Mel ever tried to suck his eggplant. First of all, as a man, you should never disrespect your wife, your ex-wife, asking a question like that. And as a man, why would you want to know that? There's something wrong. Like, you are that dedicated to seeing Mel debased and degraded. What kind of thing is that to say or investigate about your wife and the mother of your children? Why would you even want to know that at that point, especially knowing what you've done? It doesn't make you look good. Marceau, yes, you are right. Martell accuses everybody of cheating and lying while he has done it, is doing it. But when it's happening to Mel, and when it has happened to Mel, like it did in Houston, when it was happening while they were divorcing at that rooftop party and he's calling her out of her name, nobody stood for Mel. That's what happens when y'all continue to enable a bully and an abuser. They eventually come for everybody because y'all did not check him as a man. So they showed a throwback clip with him saying something about Mel and Marceau getting drinks and this, that, and the other. First of all, let me go ahead and tell y'all what I think about this Mel and Marceau bullshit, because that's what it is. If there are two people I am never worried about getting in a relationship, sleeping with each other, or anything else, it is Mel and Marceau. Mel and Marceau are oil and vinegar. They are two magnets both going north, or two magnets both going south. They are two different. He does not want a woman that independent. He does not want a woman that's smart. He does not want a woman that's strong and able to carry out her business. She does not want a man that's sexist. She does not want a man who can't carry out. Like, they are just two different people. And that's not even necessarily a dig on both of them, but those are two people I ain't even worried about. Okay, so we can all stop with the foolishness. Now, they did show that throwback clip of Mel leaning over. Like I said, Martell was accusing Marcel trying to go get drinks with his then ex-wife. Mel leaned over to Kimmy and said he's accusing his friend of trying to have sex with his ex-wife. And Kimmy sat there like haters do. Like, in their mind, I know you're right, but I'm happy this is happening to you and embarrassing. So I'm not going, and I'm jealous of you. So it gives me joy to watch you have to go through this by yourself. So I'll just look and not say nothing. Or try to act surprised and do that dumb shit. I've seen too many women who do that. And they've done it to me. Okay, and that's why I'm not here for a lot of this. Because I know that while this is just a reality show, I know that's how people operate in real life, and I don't like it. I don't like it for me, and I don't like it when I see it happen to other people. Okay? Because when Martell does something that's none of Kimmy's business, she comes to his ridiculous defense, whether he's there or not. Kimmy, I don't like you anymore. And I don't know why it took me this long to realize that I shouldn't like you. But you want some BS, like for real. Then he said, I didn't F Tisha, my boy did. Once again, allowing him to disrespect Mel, allowing him to go off on Nell and not checking him, Fletcher. This is all consistent with his behavior. Destiny, you rolling with a man who acts like this? Miss me. Because you rolling tough with him. So, I was like, first of all, whatever Tisha did with his boy, I thought to myself, didn't y'all all go to college around the same time? And live in Huntsville most of y'all's life? Not that far from Huntsville? Like, even if it was true, get the hell out of here with that bullshit. Whether it's true or not is actually not the point. It's wildly disrespectful. You lived your life in college, she lived hers, and she wasn't married to Marcel. And I was really offended by it, just as a woman. And this shit was wildly disrespectful as a whole. He said, I could have her. I mean, he was like, you know, Marcel, you ugly. You couldn't even got with her. Marcel married her. Whatever he looked like, Tisha wanted it. Period. And he said Tisha got the bottom of the barrel. And Marcel, so you still ugly. I've been telling y'all for a long time. Martell is sus, okay? Women take jabs at each other's looks as digs, particularly in competition with other women for a man. Men go on other things. So all I was sitting there thinking was, child, you really sitting here talking about how ugly Marcel is? Anyway, Destiny in a confessional saying, well, no, I do disagree with what Martell said, and I do think it was crass. And then leaving her event was crazy to me. And I'm going to tell you why it was crazy to me. Not because I don't believe in walking away from a bunch of BS, because I will leave you there with that foolishness. I don't even do all of that. I would say argue in public when nobody else had that barbecue, family reunion, church, picnic, cookout shed. Nevertheless, because you sat there, Destiny, and stirred that rotten pot of stew full of old vegetables, Marcel and Tisha arguing as they're leaving with Martell. Marcel was telling her, don't say anything, getting in her face. My thing is, no, you check that man that's still talking to her. Don't you tell me what not to say. Okay, I'm going to go home and be a mom. Tisha, I can... Tisha, you are just somebody I couldn't respect. I wouldn't want to be around. I don't know if I want to sit beside you at a PTA meeting. Anyway, then Kimmy told Marcel he needs to be ashamed. She said Martell is over there screaming in Tisha's face and she's dealing with the collateral damage. I get what you're saying, Kimmy. But this is when you should have done the no comment thing you did with Mel. You shouldn't have had shit to say. At the point in which your husband had nothing to say, you shouldn't have had anything to say. I get your point. But telling him how to talk to his wife when your husband has a whole DUI and you was just sitting there hoping that nobody would bring up y'all shit, miss me. Martell is a fucking liar. Okay, like I don't know what to say to anybody else who believes anything different, and I don't even want to talk to nobody else who believes anything different. And yes, he did want to fight with Marceau. You want to know why? Because Marceau is the one who hasn't been to jail this season. So you gonna try to take somebody else down? I know you're tight, Martell. Tisha and Marceau. So we get them. All of their scenes are so forced, and it's not even like a dig so much of them for being boring, because they may just be normal ass people, but when they are in scenes together, it's just like, what? Like, just go away from me. Go away from me. So she's looking at rings. I thought she wanted to upgrade on her wedding ring. Not that she needed one. I just figured that's what she was there for. So she is getting Marceau another ring because he doesn't wear his wedding band. I have questions. Where is your original wedding band? Anyway, so there's a band for $2,000. And he was like, $2,000? That is a lot. She was like, that's not bad. And he was like, they're usually $88. And he was like, yeah, like 20 years ago. Pause, sir. Now, I don't know a whole lot about wedding jewelry, but one thing I do know about wedding bands, it's typically the cheapest thing to buy. Yes, it is, along with napkins. Anyway, so he told her the ring doesn't symbolize much to him. It symbolizes obedience. And we know Marceau don't believe in obedience to no woman. So I'm sitting up here like, where the hell is this going? All right. Now, Tisha talked to him about how they had been having conversations about separating and not being together, and then they decided to stay together. I wish this was a revelation to me. They've said this before, and many a time in roundabout ways, or alluded to it. But Tisha, you can thank Mel for giving you an example of how women can survive divorce when they weren't sure what was going to happen and when they thought it would take them out. All right? So Tisha is crying in the jewelry store. And Tisha is sensitive anyway. And she cries in public a lot. Like, girl, go to the bathroom. Go to your car. But okay. She's heard by how people have talked about her and her marriage for the past 6 years on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I have a real quick remedy to that. Get your ass off of TV. Right? Don't you have businesses? Didn't y'all borrow stuff straight off of Stormy's website? With them LLCs? Get off of TV. It ain't worth it. Or is it? But don't be crying to us like you don't put this stuff out here. And honestly, you could go, because Shanita is waiting for your place anyway. We saw her auditioning on the trip. But I don't even remember what the rest they talk about, because I checked out of that scene. All right, now. All right, we get Mel. Meanwhile, Mel managed to avoid all the foolishness, which Mel is me in those regards. I do not go into foolishness knowing it's going to be foolishness. I ain't saying I ain't never ended up in it. But it certainly wasn't after the age of 22 on purpose. Anyway, now, even though Mel wasn't there, she was still a topic of conversation. So Mel is making her rounds apparently with everybody who went on the trip. She wants to talk to Tisha about feedback for the trip, because that's what a good host does. That trip that took 5 episodes that I was so happy it was over, I said, Mel, please stop beating a dead horse, because I don't give a damn. If you want to entertain us at all regarding post-trip feedback, go talk to Sunny. Okay? Go talk to Sunny. She could use a scene or two. Anyway, to help them... Never mind. Help them pay for, the house they claim they want together. But I can't go in too hard on Mel, because Mel was really setting the trap. Setting the trap so she could talk about Maurice and his DUI. Now Mel brought up how Maurice got a DUI. And it's the talk of Huntsville. I mean, it ain't like Huntsville is that long. So I guarantee you, that's probably still a talk of Huntsville right now, December 2024. All right, so Tisha says she was happy. Look, I was just happy that he didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt. Facts. I can understand that. Mel responded and said, see how sweet and good that sounds? Tisha's like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm like, Tisha is a dumb broad. I am sorry. And the reason why I say I'm sorry is not because it's not what I think, but I'm like, the fact that she is really that dumb and basic is just like, Yeah, I do wish that at least there was something more to her. But it's not. Anyway, so Mel responded and said, see how good and sweet that sounds? What a lovely thing to say to a family member. And then Mel brought up how she lost her grandmother to a drunk driver. And apparently it was Tisha's first time hearing it because she seemed to be like, oh. Mel said you should have had a talk with Maurice and told him you were happy he wasn't hurt instead of getting on social media talking about free Reese, when he clearly got a DUI for a reason and going back to the same place and thing that got him into trouble, alcohol. Mel ain't told no lies. Okay? And like I said, and I can't even sit here and say I didn't say people make mistakes, because I do understand not beating up on somebody for making a mistake. Now, granted, at almost 50, I shouldn't have probably given Maurice that grace. But really what helped me was the woman who left a comment on one of my videos a couple of weeks ago, talking about how she had lost her son to a DUI. And that really put it into perspective for me. And I want to thank her again. I think I mentioned it last week. Because it takes a lot to be that vulnerable and explain your story. So I appreciate that. Mel said, honestly, it was embarrassing to watch y'all on TV. I said, damn, Tisha, woo. And then she said, he should have had the same thing you just said, basically saying it was unfortunate, it was really messed up, I wish it didn't happen. She said, but instead, he gets on live with a bottle in his hand. She said that's just ignorant. Now, the one thing I have to give Mel, because Mel didn't have to take that conversation that direction. That was a choice too, Mel. Is that she said the same thing to them that she said when she was talking about them being ignorant last week. But I forget who she was talking to. I think it's this tequila that can't make me remember. I remember in the morning. But anyway, and then Tisha, like all those guys, starts making excuses for him. It was a mistake. We all make mistakes. Yes, we all do. How many years have you been mad at Mel, though, for some shit you said in an argument or some event she didn't make or something she didn't do? Bitch, please. I hate people who defend other people when they're dead ass wrong and then jump all over other people when they make a mistake like Tisha does Mel. Because it comes off as jealous and insecure and gaslighting her on this show. Like she's doing something to hurt all of you all when she isn't. And then making her mistakes, like putting those in the spotlight. And then when it comes to somebody else, like your family, then all of a sudden you don't understand why they're being so hard on them. And that's what I don't like. Mel was right. Getting behind the wheel after drinking is a choice. There are so many different options now. Uber, Lyft. Call Kimmy. Or could you not call her because of where you were at, Maurice? We need to hear from you. Okay? Kimmy up here doing interviews explaining your behavior. Anyway. Mel said, well, I checked in on Kimmy. Mel is so messy. Mel, you are messy as hell. You wasn't really checking in on Kimmy. You was trying to get the dirt. Checking in on Kimmy because I know what it's like when your husband embarrasses you. Because, see, Mel's on the other side of it now. I don't mean that there probably aren't times where she cries and wishes her family was together. I mean, I'm sure anybody feels that way. But, sorry, I did a good job with this margarita, though. Tisha was probably like, Tisha said, well, she was probably thinking, he embarrassed himself, not me. Girl, bye. When you married to somebody and they get caught doing something like that, that's embarrassing. Okay? And if she did feel that way, she wouldn't have been dodging the questions Mel asked. She'd have been like, yeah, that's Maurice's problem. You should ask him. That's not something I'm willing to comment on. Okay, lace front baby hair, Kimmy. Anyway, then Mel kept going. And that's why I said Mel was being an asshole. All right, then Mel kept going and said, did you hear about the lipstick on his lips? Now, honestly, I couldn't really tell enough to be convinced initially. Because I was just kind of like, well, I mean, if you were drinking, you could be dehydrated, anything like that. But somebody driving home drunk in the middle of the day is the part that makes me suspicious. Because it's not far-fetched, especially after Kimmy said she went to the office where he works because he usually works late and he wasn't there. And you were like, that's weird. Bitch, no, you weren't. You were suspicious as hell in that small-ass town. Tisha, you sounded like a country-ass dummy making us Southern girls look crazy. I don't believe that. That's just some extra stuff. Bitch, you seen that on the internet. Stop playing with us. When Mel said, well, you must be colorblind. The gag is people who are colorblind can usually see red and green. It's the other colors they can't see. I died. Then Tisha got her purse and left, and they screamed in that restaurant. Oh, it was cringe watching both of them get loud in public like that in front of them white people. Oh my gosh. I told y'all how I feel about anybody arguing with me in public. Don't argue with me in public. Don't raise your voice. I have gotten rid of many a friend, like just straight off, cut off, never spoke to again, for shit like that. I don't play that. Do not embarrass me in public. Don't raise your voice. Any kind of disagreement we're having, it's not necessary to get loud like that. Don't do that to me. All right? So Tisha got her person left, and you're going to leave because you don't want to answer questions about your family. I get that. I don't necessarily think she's wrong for getting up and walking away in that regard. But leaving somebody like that, and Mel was pissed because she said, y'all been investigating my life for 7 years. See, that's what I was talking about with Kimmy. Now, Mel's business has been on Front Street. She had to sit there and endure it without y'all's support. Y'all were always questioning her and then putting her in these situations where Martell would show up and say, can't y'all just work it out? Why? Okay? So my thing is, and Tisha said, no, you volunteered everything. No, the fuck she didn't. And this is what I'm talking about when people trying to gaslight us on these reality shows. Like, we haven't been watching it to know that's bullshit. All right? So how many times did you and Kimmy, Tisha, approach Mel together and separately talking about this article said and what that blog reported? And is it true or not? Girl, bye. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because I can't stand women who do that, and there's a lot of them. So, but that's what haters do. They inflict on you treatment that they couldn't endure for a moment if they had to go through it. And it always takes a bunch of people. It's always like a bunch of haters on one person. I can't stand it. And I told y'all before, honestly, I wouldn't even be going up for Mel. But one of the things that I can't stand on reality TV and in real life, most of all, is a pile up on one person. You don't have to do that. I think that's mean. I think it's vicious, and I've been a victim of it, and I don't like it. So that's why I be going up for Mel. What y'all do to her is fucked up. Now, anyway, Tisha had the nerve to tell Mel with the check, thank you for getting dinner for me and my husband and getting up and not paying nothing. I said, oh, wait a minute now. She was like, no, she's good for it. And Mel is yelling, y'all better get her. She run out her bill. Mel was like, I'm not paying for that. Tisha, ma'am, I think you might want to hold off on those wedding bands. If you needed that itty bitty to go food talking about thank you for feeding me and my husband, that tells me you ain't got it, sis. You ain't got it. Because let me tell you something. Somebody I don't like, baby, I'm going to tell you, somebody I don't like couldn't pay for shit for me. Because I wouldn't do that just on the strength of my pride. And judging by all them jobs y'all get in terms of quote unquote building houses that y'all never complete, miss me. So Destiny and Martell meet up because she's another messy bitch who just wants to hear something negative about Mel. Why is Destiny saying she's disappointed in Martell? He did what he normally does, and you're still his friend. This isn't the first time he's behaved that way. Destiny, ma'am, no tea, no shade. Because we all fall on hard times, so I'm not reading you for having, simply problems in your life. But for somebody who was using your ex-husband's money for a utility bill, do you think you should be wearing Dolce & Gabbana? I'm just saying, until you get your savings back up and get your stuff on good footing, just find some really just nice stuff to wear on TV. Don't set yourself up for the read. All right? Please don't do that. Please don't do that, because we know that stuff is expensive. So Martell said he guesses he kinds of owes Destiny an apology. Narcissistic behavioral observation number 1. Refusing to fully acknowledge what you did wrong and to hurt somebody, especially somebody you call a friend. He then managed to switch the direction of the conversation and ask, why was he getting all the questions anyway at the event? Because he has to find a way to not make this his fault. Now, granted, he wasn't lying, because Destiny did that. He said, you were asking me this stuff that got me, like, upset, essentially. She said, because you had mentioned it in the storage. I said, baby, I told y'all, I knew it. I said, that's a storage space. She up here trying to convince us it's an office and an experiment place for her candles and shit. Girl, bye. Destiny, Destiny, I wish you were a better liar. I really do. I wish you wouldn't have slipped up the next episode. Baby, please. Playing in our face like that. Anyway, so Martell has the nerve to sit in Destiny's face and say he's never lied about anything. Especially in this argument with Marceau. And that he will prove it to people if he has to that he's not lying. Well, why didn't you do that when you went in that car acting like you was going to get a gun and you was just going to get a cell phone? Just show it. Just show it. They asked you. They wanted to see it. I don't doubt that Marceau could have had extramarital affairs. And Maurice too. I don't doubt any of that. Before and after they got married. All right? But they are with some pick-me's at the end of the day, Martell. So those chicks are not going to leave like Mel left you. They don't have what Mel has. They don't have the kind of things going for them that Mel has going for her. So he said, Destiny asked, was it a trigger when he brought up the charges? He was like, first of all, those charges were a misunderstanding. And they weren't a trigger. I said, baby, not only were you accused, you were proven in court for having done these things. Just like you said, the judge is going to do this, that, and the other. And that it was like not really real. And I was like, you can appeal it, sir. But you don't get to act like it never happened. That's not how that works. Like, this stuff is wild when you say it like out loud yourself. So Destiny was like, as a woman, it was hard to watch Tisha have to sit there and endure that. As anybody who has love for Tisha, because she said she was catching strays and missiles and everything else. Destiny told him he needs to apologize. Marceau said, well, they're one. Not Marceau, Martell. All these M names. Child. Martell said, well, they're one. And Tisha doesn't tell him to stop. So what am I supposed to do? Shut the fuck up? That's what you're supposed to do? Handle that shit man to man when y'all by yourself? That's what you're supposed to do. But you don't know nothing about that. Okay? And he was like, well, Tisha just accepts it. Destiny said, accepts what? He said, whatever Marceau does. And I honestly don't doubt that either. But you are bringing up stuff from before they were married, which makes it, to me, null and void. Number two, the fact that you're saying, well, Tisha just accepts it, like, that's her fault, her problem. So why are you mad at Mel? Mel didn't just accept it. She walked away from it, and you still angry with her. So don't try to do this, but I'm getting mad. Because narcissists are running around this country alone, okay, in too many large numbers. And narcissists are not born that way. Because I was talking to my psychoanalyst about this, and I don't have no problem in that. And he was like, well, narcissists really, what happens is they're not born. But what happens is they have a lot of experiences growing up that are traumatic. And their response is, that's never going to happen to me again. And so I'm going to hurt all these people. I will do anything I can to conquer other people so I'm not the victim again. And at the core of that is essentially that I'm not shit. And Martell fits the lineup. Okay? Anyway, if Marceau had or has a side chick, of course Tisha puts up with it because she's a weak bitch, all right, who doesn't aim for much in life. I'm not saying if she gave her husband a second chance or multiple chances to keep her family together, that makes her a weak bitch, because that takes strength, okay? And Mel did the same thing. But in every aspect of what we've seen play out on this show and her life outside of it, she leaves things undone. She's not driven, okay? Because she doesn't aim for much. That's what I mean. Like, so this is okay for her. So he said that both Mel and Tisha were trying to teach people how to respectfully cheat. Okay, with a little prompting from Destiny. Now, how does Mel keep ending up in these conversations that have nothing to do with her? Okay, talk about people catching strays. And y'all need to go and get the hell out of here with this bullshit. And you and Destiny run your dumb asses just straight into the Mississippi River. Anyway, then Martell follows up with the, if I say it, believe it. Let me... And I believe this to heart. Ain't nothing worse than somebody telling me that I never lie. Anybody who says they never lie is lying, okay? And is going to be the biggest liar I know. I don't trust nobody who says that. Everybody lies. Now, it becomes a problem when that's all you do. Plenty of people lie when their back is up against the wall. You take a sick day and you just really need a break. What the hell? Like, stop acting like you tell the truth about everything. Anyway, and we know Martell's a liar. Martell said he's not going to be the bigger person because when you go low, I go lower. And I was like, well, we've seen 9 seasons of this. Why state the obvious, sir? Martell has a problem with anybody who calls him out on his stuff and then seeks to make them the villain. Okay, so that's narcissistic behavioral observation number 2, 3, 4, or 5 at this point. All right, so Fletcher and Marceau meet up. Fletcher's scenes always seem forced. So if he likes being on reality TV, he's really not good at it. Now, like Marceau and Tisha's scenes, they're just boring. Okay, so Marceau up here pretending like he's building something that will turn into a house. We know he won't. He wants to check Marceau's temperature after the park event. The park event with no food that Destiny put on. Now, you provided them water and no food and some trophies with some body spray in it. Girl, bye. It was honestly just a bunch of blah, blah, blah watching this. They talking about North Huntsville and moving to it. I said Huntsville ain't but 6 feet long. It can't be that hard to move one place to another, but okay. I know them dirt roads can seem very long at night, though. Okay, because I know a thing or two about it. Fletcher struggles to bring up Destiny's event to Marceau, because he couldn't get his words together, so it wasn't really flowing well for reality TV. He asked, like, I mean, how? Why did that happen? Marceau says, I don't know why your boy Martell acts the way he acts. Read, check. All right. He said, I mean, he's called your wife a side chick before. And Fletcher was like, yes, but he knows I don't play that. Yes, the fuck you do, Fletcher. Because to Marceau's point, he continues to call your wife outside of her name. He doesn't stop. And you don't check him. You ain't whooped his ass. You ain't gotten his face. You ain't gone really, really hard on him, like a man should to protect his wife. Whether I like Nell or not, they ain't got nothing to do with it. So even when Nell and Martell got into arguments in front of you, you did not intervene. We saw that on a reunion. You're like, oh, they're like brother and sister. I don't give a fuck. They're not brother and sister. So the way I would want my man to defend me, as far as I'm concerned, you do play that shit. So calling him an MFer doesn't fix it. It doesn't. It does not. Okay. Marceau said, well, I'm done with him because he doesn't respect him or what he has to say. I'm not sure, Marceau, that God asked you two to be friends for a season. But okay, if that's what we want to believe. Then we get this scene with Mel and Trish. Trish, let me tell you something. We don't want to see you back again. And honestly, you haven't earned a place back. You are just a big ass liar. And it's really, it's giving like something's wrong with you mentally. And we see why you and Martell would have had a hookup. Honestly, y'all should be together so y'all can just keep lying about everything together. Y'all would give each other what each other needs. A fake life, a fake appearance, and then y'all both go and cheat on each other. All right, so anyway, Mel with her fake ass. Acts like she really cares to hang out with Trish and asks how she is doing being a new person in the group. And we all know you don't care. And Mel, your bob is bothering me. It looks like it's short up here and like long down here, but it's still a bob. Like, I don't know who cut that wig, but I want them to do a better job. Now, Trish talks about how she's hung out with the Scotts and stuff, but it's been hard for her to hang out with people because usually in a group it should be easier. And so Mel just is like, you know, we have a lot of different histories with each other, so it's hard. Mel addresses Trish and how she left the trip without saying anything to her, which is rude as hell. Okay, it's rude. It's rude. You went on her dime. The least you could have said was thank you, Mel. Wrote her a note, sent her a text, something. And she said, well, I was just pissed. I was upset. And it was awkward. And she was like, I didn't know if I should, like, speak to you. Her in that RFK Jr. fucking voice. And I'm not making fun of people who have that disability like RFK. I'm talking about RFK and Trish because I don't like them. All right. Anyway, Mel said, well, you helped make it awkward. And she was like, because you didn't tell the truth to your so-called friends, like Stormy and Tisha, essentially, when you lied to protect what it could have seemed like by you and Martell doing anything together. So then she said, then Trish did a whole Martell move and brought up how she wanted to know what Martell's motive was in bringing it up. Anything to change the subject from her being the problem, right? And I was like, does it matter what his motive was? We want to know, is it true or not? So you and him were both acting nutty on camera, pretending to know, not know each other, saying hey, not saying hey. Y'all made this shit a situation, and ugly ass Stormy, who helped, promote it. But at the end of the day, as Stormy was reporting on what she saw. Did I mention I'm glad she left the show? Anyway, so, because both of y'all was messing around while both of y'all were married. Now, Mel clocked the tea. She did. And said, did you think it was awkward when you invited him over your house to work out and you didn't know him? I said, baby, it's about to get real. So she said, well, I knew of him. I went to school, basically with his brother, whatever his name is. And please don't get in my comments talking about his brother's name is this. Okay, y'all, I got it. Okay, whatever. I was like, bitch, just stop talking. Because you were messing around with her husband while they were still married and going through a very painful and public divorce. Because you didn't respect your marriage didn't mean you should inflict pain on Mel. Anyway, and don't act like you could live in Huntsville and not know or have watched this show, Trish. You that type. All right, so then she said, well, I still train people at my home. So Mel goes, when did you train him? She was like, around 2020. Mel said, what month? She was like, I don't know. I said, oh, shoot. Then Mel's in the confessional talking about Trish isn't trustworthy. But I knew by the way Mel was asking them questions, I said, Trish, you ain't smart enough or sharp enough to beat this. You not, because you giving Tisha vibes right now when it comes to your IQ and intelligence. So Mel asked, well, what house did you go to? Because Mel said, I can probably tell you which one you went to. I said, ooh. And she said, well, it was in the mountains. And Mel said, what was the driveway like? She was like, it was like a typical driveway. Mel said, ain't no driveway typical in the mountains. And I was like, God damn. That's true, whether it's in Alabama, whether it's in the Blue Ridge or the Rocky Mountains. Ooh, girl, you just kept walking into it. Then Mel said yes. She said something about the house being kind of white. And Mel said yes, one house was lighter. And she said the white one was the house I left. And I left him in April of 2020. Mel knew the timeline and everything. I was like, ooh, Trish. She said, well, I take behind every man. I don't know if that's a song or a movie, whatever the hell she was doing, in that house in the summer. And then she said by August or September, I was out of there. And Trish said it was around the fall after Mel said that. And she was like, it was chilly outside. I said, you can't remember the driveway, but you remember how cold it was in Alabama? Girl, bye. Mel said it was early fall then because it was August or September, because after that, we didn't have that house. Now, I can tell you, but we have seen Martell overstay his leases and stuff just in, bouncing it from house to house. Now, I can tell you as somebody from Georgia, if there's going to be any kind of winter in a deep southern state, that shit don't hit till December. It really doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, even though it's cold to us, but any sort of like kick in the air, like at 40 degrees, that's going to be December. So, baby, just stop lying. Trish, you making it worse. You in that fucking ice cream cone shaped face, chin, and whatever else is wrong with you. And you walking around like you God's gift to the universe. I agree with Mel. Trish was feeling miserably with those questions because she's still thinking about who's watching her on TV, what Ken's gonna find out. Don't worry, Ken ain't going nowhere. That's why you with him. You with somebody that you can kind of push around. And she was like, I just think she doesn't want things to come out. Just let it come out. I guess Mel figures she'd been embarrassed on TV too for a bunch of shit that wasn't her fault. Trish, you was watching the show and you had been no Martell. Baby, miss us, okay? I think she was definitely talking about some, Ken came much, much later. Okay. So it's 2020, fall of 2020 that you're training Martell. The only reason why you even felt the need to explain a timeline is because you weren't just training him. Because you could have said, well, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. You would have just kept going with all we did was work out. Like, I don't get why it's a big deal. You would have kept going with that. The fact that you were answering Mel's questions demonstrated to me how nervous you were because you were still trying to control the narrative, because you were still trying to control the lie instead of just dealing with it head on. Like, we never did anything, Mel. What else is there to discuss? Okay? And even though 2020 was very traumatic with the COVID and shit, please don't remind me of what it was to be a teacher during COVID. It was still only 4 years ago, y'all. It feels like it happened yesterday. I mean, like a long time ago, but like still very recent. I don't know. It's just whatever. And then to now be engaged, Trish, while also not being divorced and have bought a house, and a nice house at that, with another man, something's not adding up about that timeline, and we're not going for it. Trish, you're a liar. And also, for all we know, Mel was also trying to make her look stupid, and that other side chick that he had a baby by. Like, see, y'all was messing with him time. Mel's not above it. So Mel asked if she had these conversations with other people about her and Martell and them being together possibly or whatever before she invited her on a trip. Which meant she knew all of this before the trip and didn't bother to pull Mel to the side, which Mel was basically saying that's what she would have wanted. So she didn't end up feeling the way on the trip. Now, I can definitely understand how Martell, after all of this questioning with Trish, just in this one scene, how Martell couldn't get but so far over on Mel. Anything he got away with, it was because she let him get away with it. Okay? Woo! I said Mel is a motherfucker when it comes to investigative questions. But anyway, that's all I got for Love and Marriage Huntsville. My birthday is coming up Tuesday. Whoop, whoop. I'm trying to go into 37 with a good attitude. Because I've been beating myself up since I was 30 about getting older and not feeling like I had accomplished what I wanted to. But I'm just going to go and enjoy this one. And y'all just be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, put your thoughts in the comments. And, just be respectful to each other and to me. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.